Hey everybody, it is Friday, February 7th, 2020, 12:09 p.m. according to the computer, which may or may not be accurate. Just took a break after doing some work. I have spent this past week primarily offline. There was some things that needed doing, so I needed a week where, like I mentioned in my newsletter announcing it, where I needed to live just one life, not two lives, because we all have now, at least in the developed world, two lives. We have one online, we have one offline. Sometimes they gel, sometimes they don't. But, in the end, when you're going about your day-to-day, at work or at school or cooking dinner at home, the internet's back here. It's always there. That's why we reach for our little pocket computers and start looking for things. It's always back here. And so I needed a week where I didn't have that back here. And that's what this week was about. This video that I'm making right now will not air until I'm back online. So looking at my list here, one of the things is I got to do tasks that I've been putting off for a very long time because they are very time consuming and they needed an area of focus that I couldn't get done with my day-to-day routine, and especially after the work day where I'm just done. And it's hard for me to get going after that. The other part was there was some business tasks that needed done, so that got done as well. They're not exciting or anything like that, so they're not even worth mentioning, but they are things that keep this whole art, comics, book, media machine running. The other thing I was able to do, of course, and one of the big thrusts, was create stuff. That's my job. So I got to spend a lot of time just working and making things up and getting stuff together in that respect, and getting further into the stories I have, cooking behind the scenes here. And so we made headway there, and that's a good thing. And it was quite joyous. It was very, had its own sort of sense of comfort to it. It was nice to just be in that little bubble and create the things that way. Another thing that was established was I was able to look at my sort of general schedule. Those who know me, or if you follow my blog, you know that I am big on scheduling. That's the only way to get anything done, at least anything done in a decent volume. But also at the same time, the volume, but also maintaining the quality, because that's the most important thing. Quality over quantity every time. That's the rules. Okay, so that was done. And then the other thing I noticed being offline was, it's good for here. It's good for the mental space. I found it comforting. I found it knowing that I was completely off, except for a couple things I needed to do. It was just nice and soothing. It's like my brain and my emotions and all the rest had to adjust, but then at the same time they kind of calmed. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever exercised before, but afterwards you're sometimes you're a little bit sore, but then things start to settle and you actually feel pretty good. And that's kind of what this was about. And this is not to disparage, online communities or anything like that. It's just what I'm saying is, like I mentioned earlier, was just, the internet's always back here. So to be able to just turn that off, focus on one life, and I felt, like as if my brain was making some sort of recovery, as if my emotions were making some sort of recovery, some other internal mechanisms making some sort of recovery and healing. And I think that's important. I mean, our human brain can only, and emotions can only take so much. We all have limits in various capacities, and living two lives is not good for those limits. I mean, we could sustain it for a while no differently than you could sustain a sprint, but eventually you got to slow down. Otherwise, you're just going to trip and fall because your legs are going to give out. And it's the same thing here. You just, every so often, it's time to take a break. And so that's what I did. I took a break, took care of myself so that I could be of better service to you and better service to the art world and better service to others. But Like the saying goes, right, you got to put on your own oxygen mask first before you start putting some on other people. So that's what this week was about in that respect. And then lastly, the big thing was it was just quiet. It was quiet. I mean, it's strange because, of course, like, unless you're watching videos or listening to podcasts, there's no auditory stimulation, you know, when you're looking at images or you're reading something. But it's still a version of noise. It's still information. You can't take that away from the written word or a drawing. Like, it's still information, and your brain is taking this in and is processing it all, and then it's telling you what it's about, what you're looking at, what you're reading, how it makes you feel, what you think about it, etc., etc. And of course, that was kept to a bare minimum this week. And yeah, I found, you know, like my, for lack of a better term, information sensors enjoyed the quiet. And I suspect that they were probably in a state of recovery as well. So they got to get healed up. And the quiet, you know, you ever have that silence where you're sitting in a room and you just came from a loud place and it's silence, and you kind of have this thought that goes to your head and it says, like, oh, silence never sounded so good. You could actually feel it on your ears. You could feel that good quiet. So it was kind of like that, but it was, of course, a little bit turned or warped or whatever, because, again, like, I wasn't hearing anything, but I wasn't receiving any other forms of information. And so it was quiet that way, and it actually felt really nice. And I really enjoyed it. So, I mean, do with this information as you please. This is my personal experience. You know, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate and I like spending time with you guys online. But, you know, every so often, sometimes I got to go to my own treehouse and just take a few minutes, you know. So that's what this week was about. Just relaxing the brain in the respect of the online world. And yeah, I got things done. I reached some goals. I got other things established, and there's more coming. Some blog stuff is going to be up next week, or I guess it'd be maybe the week this thing airs, giving some more information on the different conclusions come to and whatnot. So just, yeah, go to canisterx.com and tune in there, blogging Monday to Friday, and you'll get your data there. And then, of course, like and subscribe to this channel. You know, I can't, I need your help with these videos in terms of spreading the word and spreading them around and that sort of thing. Can't do it alone. And I'd love to have you along for the journey. So yeah, please like and subscribe and stay tuned. We will be back with another video at some point soon. Take care. All right. Bye-bye.